Welcome to AgriNext Awards and Conference. Today I am delighted to welcome Jo Sakota, co-founder of Bio Aqua Garden, a revolutionary agri-tech venture transforming how we grow food. Jo's patented AquaSoilPonics system blends aquaponics and soil-based farming to produce organic fruits and vegetables every 4 weeks, all without the use of chemicals, fertilizers, plastics, or GMOs. Her mission goes beyond farming. She is empowering farmers, schools, and communities to become self sufficient, sustainable, and aligned with climate goals. Under her leadership, Bio Aqua Garden is tackling agriculture challenges globally, from Malta to India and beyond. Welcome, Jo. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Maria, for inviting me. I'm glad that we're going to do this. Go ahead and ask away.
Okay. So, could you please tell our audience about you, like whatever that I missed?
Okay. Well, as Maria, you said, I'm Jo Sakota. I am one of the co-founders of Bio Aqua Garden. Basically, I used to do a concierge service. Actually, that was my history. I used to help others come to Malta or vice versa. Malta used to go to other countries and help them with any contact that they want to make, whether it's, a bank, real estate, or agriculture, anything that will help them to settle in a country. Basically, and then what happened is that 2020, when COVID hit, we were, thinking what to do next. And me and my partner and husband, Alex Sakota, said, well, okay, you know what? We need to think about what Malta needs and other countries need, especially to be locally sustainable in food. Because when we see what's happened in our own country here in Malta, we said, oh my goodness, like we need to really find a way to be locally sourced because we cannot depend on transports. It was such an issue during COVID. We saw that shelves were empty. Locally there wasn't enough, agriculture. There weren't enough vegetables. There weren't enough fruits. There wasn't enough of anything locally, to be honest. So, and we said, well, let's target, the healthy food sector. And basically, also, I contacted some of my relatives and friends in Canada. I was born and raised in Canada, to be fair. So, I knew other spectrums of how we could work in countries that are not so hot. Although saying that, now the world is becoming, extremely hot or extremely flooded or extremely cold. So we have to tackle that. And one thing that we decided to do is come up with a solution, not just a concept, but actually go through with it. And this is when we decided to develop Bio Aqua Garden.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, let's move ahead with the main interview session. So you have combined aquaponics with soil-based agriculture, right? So could you break down this hybrid method for your audience?
Oh, that's right. Okay, for sure. So basically, what happens is we were thinking, you know what? You cannot just, in my opinion, my humble opinion, you cannot just depend on fruits and vegetables. And we thought, okay, we had already practiced aquaponics in the past, and we were enthusiasts, and we said, let's do it as a hobby. But then we realized, you know what? We can grow vegetables naturally and fruits and using the feces of fish as a vitamin. Nutrient for our crops. And that is why it came about that we wanted to use aquaponics. Apart from that, we use tilapia fish, but there's other freshwater fish that one can use. We are testing it right now, and we have a couple of koi as well that is working out. And also we use soil. And when I say soil, I have to really be clear about that. It's not just your typical soil. I cannot just go dig up somebody's farm and take up their soil. It's actually it's a compost, but there is soil in it. There's other components, and it's all natural. And this is how this worked for us to even have more nutrients to contribute towards our crops. So this is why it's a actually the vegetables and the fruits not only grow faster, but taste amazing. We've had people, we've had students, we've had all kinds of people from the agronomist to the scientist, and they say your this compost, thanks to the aquaculture, is very, very, very full of nutrients and very fertile in the sense that it will definitely give more than just a month or so full of the nutrients that the vegetables, fruits, and other things that are grown need. So we've done it for 3 consecutive months and we didn't have to change the compost. The fish have been around now. We've done this for 4.5, well, actually almost 5 years. So the fish, it's the same fish that we've originally started with. It grew in size. And the fish obviously is a component where it's edible. Very good. We've tasted it. We've done, a number of, experiments where they would actually test our fish as well. And it worked out that the fish are full of nutrients as well. You know how it is now. You cannot depend on just fish farms. That's for sure. You cannot, that not all of them. I have to be clear about that. But the ones, that are not locally sourced, you have no idea where the fish is coming from. And this is why it's so important. We say, know your food source and don't just depend on one food source, but others. We can all work together. There is no competition. We need as many, bio, organic fruits and vegetables as possible. As a matter of fact, it is important that there are many sources out there locally, so there is traceability and accountability for what you grow and if it's actually really healthy for the human consumption. And there is also no question in whether it's because we've had, stories where people actually eat vegetables, fruits that they thought were healthy, but in actual fact, because of the fertilizer, pesticides, and other chemicals, they're not what they thought. And still, they had big health issues. We use no chemicals whatsoever, none, because the water is recycled. If it were the case, our fish would obviously die. Another thing that happened recently is that in our system, we found a frog. I don't know where this frog came from, but this is why we say we don't expect biodiversity or any, and it actually survived in the water because, like I said, there's no chemicals in it. But obviously we had to remove it, and that does not leave any nutrient that we can, that will contribute towards our fruits and vegetables.
Exactly.
So I think, so that's why I say, the best thing is, as I always say, you are what you eat and you have to know your food source.
Wonderful. Okay, many startups talk about sustainability. So how do you ensure Bio Aqua Garden walks the talk, especially under your circular economy model?
We definitely, just don't talk, but, action the talk. We implement the talk. We have done different types of systems, not just ours, to be fair, so that people can compare the sustainability of our machines compared to other systems. We've tried growing towers, we've tried NFT pipes, we've tried Dutch buckets. And unfortunately, because of different factors like the water contribution is not the same. There is also the factor that the nutrients, these are, when you talk about vertical farming, we are one of the very few, maybe there's 2, 3 in the world that use soil as well. This is why we are more sustainable, because we make sure that everything we use takes 50 cents of energy per day. That is nothing. That's nuts. I mean, we don't consume energy. So that's why we're more sustainable. We don't have LED lights in every row. So that's a big plus. And also, our machines can be made from, reusable materials. We are actually now in the phase being, as you said, sustainable. It's also about being accessible. Okay, our machines can. Now we've come up with a modular system where the machines can be set up anywhere, assembled and disassembled, even for remote areas. Talk about sustainability, we recycle everything: water, energy, barren land, because it doesn't have to be agricultural land, but even if it is, we have to make sure that it's not, feasible to grow naturally, because we don't want to take up any farmland. And also we also excuse me, we recycle biodiversity. And how is that? Because we make sure that everything around us is thriving. We are next to, farmland and agricultural land. And also it can be in any space whatsoever where there is nature involved. We also are having the pipeline to do something really huge where we teach sustainability. We will make sure that students that came to us, like biology, chemistry, and physics, pharmaceutical students, also students who are agronomists, who want to become, basically doctors that think about the health rather than, pointing to a pharmaceutical and saying, "Oh, this medication is the solution for you." That's not right. The medical field are now interested in looking at other natural, components to help their patients, because they realize it's not about the medical or pharmaceutical industry. It's more, if those pharmaceuticals are, incorporating something that's sustainable, which is natural, then that's a different story. We definitely are pushing towards sustainability. And also what's important is climate resilient. The heat is crazy here in Malta, like in most countries in Europe at the moment, and in, India and, United Arab Emirates, and in all the countries, as you know, it's becoming a real challenge. Luckily, we still managed to grow during the hot summer, months. And here in Malta, believe when I tell you the UV was like 11, that is crazy, stuff. So basically, sustainability is very important when it comes to how you sustain where you're growing. And I can tell you for sure that it's next to impossible to grow unless it is in a confined environment like a greenhouse.
Okay.
So I think I've answered your question.
Yeah. So, your model involves education in schools and communities. So, could you share a moment that showed the real impact of this?
Yes. So definitely we've had schools. People can check out our profiles. I try to share in all social medias, but we were big on sharing on Facebook. Why? Because locally, this is what they use most in Malta is Facebook. But now I'm stretching towards Instagram, LinkedIn, and other ways. There's also obviously other, medias, but I'm trying to see what captures the most audiences in the sense that they realize that we are educating. It's not about making money. It's about educating and making sure the next generation know exactly how to remain sustainable without depending on, artificial processed food. This is very important. We don't want people to depend on, like printed meat, for example, or vegetables that are not real, plastic, modified, and also it's important to say that even livestock, that is important. It's not because we grow vegetables. We're teaching the young generation it's fine to eat meats as well, as long as you know your food source, and they come here really excited. They ask about the fish, for example. How is the fish? What type of fish is it? Does it grow to what extent? Is it edible? Kids don't know these things anymore. They find everything in a can or a package, So we've had kids say, this is how tomatoes grow. I was shocked, honestly, that kids don't know anymore. They don't, because they think everything is packaged, everything is canned, everything is processed. And we said, no, we need to educate. And we've had yesterday, actually, a group from Germany, which I will post later on today. They came here to learn about energy and water, recycling and sustainability, and how there are systems out there like ours, not just ours, but other systems. I was also, thrilled to find out that other, like Dyson, for example, came up with a solution, and Siemens are coming up with other companies, big corporate companies are coming up with solutions. Because we all know the way forward is to educate and make sure we depend on locally, the healthy bio or organic food.
Okay. And okay, so one question for you is that where do you see Bio Aqua Garden 5 years from now? Like any moonshot ideas in the pipeline?
Yes, we definitely see it expanding in other countries. We've already are in talks with different countries. We hope that when we come to your conference, we will meet people who want to implement in their countries. It's very inexpensive compared to other countries. So they will be shocked to find the numbers and what they can obtain when if somebody, a company or individual wants to invest in our systems. We already have talks, like I said, but I know I cannot share and divulge too much or else I'll be here till tomorrow. And this is why we think AgriNext, your conference will bring us closer to those people who really want to learn more about what we do, how inexpensive, because there are so many factors. You recycle everything that's used in the system, so that's inexpensive. If you do it locally, you avoid packaging. You try to say always give, the actual vegetables, fruits, or whatever in a basket or something that's reusable. And we also talk about how the machine can be, like I said, modular, so it's easy to put up and dismantle in any location. But believe me, once you put them up, you don't want to take them down. So, there is so much. We have a lot of, ideas for the future. And the most important is to have an innovation center focus on not just construction and building with good materials, but agritech, agriculture. What do we depend on in life? Food. And what's most important? That we grow healthy food. So yes, there are future plans, and we will divulge some information when we come to your AgriNext conference.
Sure. All the best for all the future plans. May you succeed
Thank you.
in each step. Okay,
Thank you.
now let's move ahead with the rapid fire round. I'll be asking questions and you'll have to answer in one word, whatever that comes
Sure.
to mind first. Okay?
Okay, cool.
Okay, let's begin. The first question for you, Joe, is sustainability in one word.
Sustainable in one word would be to recycle.
Okay. Elon Musk joins Bio Aqua Garden. What role would you give him?
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I would tell him, first of all, you've got finances, invest in us. Number one. Number two, so he can be the financial controller. And believe me, he'd be staggered with the numbers of
Okay.
earnings. And also we would like, that he would, attract other investors, because I'm sure it will, be mind blowing for him when he finds out about our solution. And I know he does SpaceX, and that we have a solution for even space. But, we have to keep that under wraps until the time comes. Maybe you guys can invite Elon Musk to your conference.
Yeah. Okay. One country you'd love to bring AquaSoilPonics to next.
United Arab Emirates, definitely. I think the potential is big there. The population is big.
Yeah.
They have, extreme weather, and they have the finances and the resources to make it really work.
Okay. Okay, your guilty pleasure food, even if not organic.
Well, I love chocolate, but there is organic options. As a matter of fact, there's, last time I had a Kit Kat, which says it's veg Kit Kat. I don't know about that, but because I look at the content, I'm not so sure about it. But, that is my guilty pleasure, chocolate. But we have in pipeline to make that also something incorporated with the vegetables that we grow.
That's nice. Okay, complete the sentence. Farming of the future is
evolving and making sure that farming is accessible by all and doable by all. But, I believe that to do it naturally, there are ways now that people are coming up with. There are so many, like in Africa, for example, I was seeing the other day, they are finding ways to, use the fields, which we totally agree with. We totally agree. We need to have farming where it's also on fields. We believe in livestock, but there is room for innovation and technology in agriculture and livestock. The thing is that we don't want to think about AI as something that takes over the human mind. and the functions. No, we can work together with AI development so that we can make it easier and by having automation. For example, this is something we're working on, automation. And this is important. Why? You cannot risk always the human touch, because of certain bacteria. Where I could give you an example. A farmer came once and he had, disease in his tomatoes, and unfortunately he spread it in our tomatoes. Luckily, we caught it on time. This is why automation is important, but at the same time, has to be the human aspect of studying and making sure that, there's, like I said, science involved, medical aspects involved. It's not just AI can do this, and there needs to be human interaction, especially when you're eating and you're, in a meal where usually a family gets together or a group of people in a company and they share a meal and they really not just eat it, but think about how it's grown, how they can improve it, how they can improve their house, and basically how to make the world a better place.
Okay, one last question for today's session. What advice would you give to the aspiring agripreneurs looking to blend tech, sustainability, and community?
Okay, first of all, I tell them research is important and figures are important. This is something that I've been hearing lately, data. And it's true. You must have some data, and because you cannot just experiment and just let it be and hope for the best. So we're hoping that we can also integrate with people that are doing data research, that are looking towards making some improvements. We always have room for improvement. So I'm not saying that we're perfect. So data collection is important. Technology is important. Like I said, automation is important. We also want to find ways that we can use, different types of fish, not just in the way they live, but maybe we have some data about what's the best environment for them, how we can even have fish farms apart from, in a technology where the fish are involved as well. And there are so many ideas that we have, and we definitely have room to collaborate with others. This is something that we believe that can happen, in different ways, especially when we get our heads together, we speak about it, we attend conferences, and we talk about what improvement there is to be made when it comes to not just technology, but the way that people think about technologies, what they're eating, the food that they eat, and how to become locally self-sustainable. It's very important. If transport ceases to, take place, you have to, like it did in COVID, we have to be prepared for things like that. Unfortunately, because of different wars, that's also an issue with transport. So we have to make sure that we all become reliant in food, but still depend on other countries to share our ideas and share our knowledge and share whatever we can to make this, as I say, we need to think about the future for the next generation to come.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jo. That was all about today's session.
Welcome.
Thank you
for having me.
Thank you so much for this enlightening and exciting conversation. It's truly inspiring to see how technology and nature can coexist harmoniously when guided by visionaries like you. We wish you continued success as you cultivate the future of farming. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. And we look forward to coming to your AgriNext conference.
Yeah.
See you, Marilu. Bye. Thank you. Thank you all.